So to liberals, dozens of Muslims killed in an attack on a New Zealand mosque were victims of Islamophobia. But hundreds of Christians killed by suicide bombings in Sri Lanka were just some Easter worshippers. But I guess we should just be grateful we got that, considering that unlike after the New Zealand shooting, many Democrats haven't even mentioned the Sri Lankan Christian massacre at all, as usual. At least 290 people were killed and another 500 were wounded in a series of deadly bombings in Sri Lanka over the weekend, including at 3 Christian churches on Easter Sunday. Now, details are still emerging, but the Sri Lankan government said the attacks were likely perpetrated by a militant group called National Tawhid Jamaat, a local radical Islamist organization. And unlike the massacre in a New Zealand mosque just some weeks ago, the left's been conspicuously silent about this assault. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez hasn't tweeted about it once. Ilhan Omar, not a word. But hey, at least some people spoke up. Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and former HUD Secretary Julian Castro all condemned the attacks on Easter worshippers. The heck is an Easter worshipper? I've never heard that phrase one single day in my entire life. I think the word y'all were looking for but couldn't bring yourselves to choke out is Christians. Christians were murdered in 3 Sri Lankan churches on Sunday. Not Easter worshippers, not Sunday morning religious ceremony attendees. No, Christians. And don't tell me I'm just splitting hairs here. Can you imagine if a Republican had called the New Zealand mosque shooting victims just some folks who were praying? Or if the Pulse nightclub shooter had just killed some people at a bar? So while we're at it, let's correct some more recent attempts at downplaying or outright ignoring the Christian faith. A Christian cathedral burned to the ground last week, not just a French historical building, not just some art and architecture. A Christian church, used for nearly a millennium by Christians to worship God. In fact, Christian churches all across France have been targeted for vandalism and violence. Christians remain the most persecuted religious group in the entire world. Thousands of Christians are being murdered by Muslims in Nigeria. Christians are being persecuted in record numbers in India. According to the Pew Research Center, Christians are targeted in 144 countries, more than any other group. Of the top most dangerous countries for Christians around the world, 8 are majority Muslim. On average, 11 Christians are killed for their faith every single day. So yeah, this is about semantics, because words matter. When a crazy white dude shoots up a mosque, the left loses its mind screaming about Islamophobia and calling for solidarity with Muslims. And anyone who doesn't immediately join in must be a Nazi sympathizer who hates Muslims. And unlike Christians, the left has no problem with the word Muslim when they're describing victims, until some Muslims murder some Christians. Then they're just some extremists who killed some Easter worshippers. You know, maybe just some people who did something. And we're supposed to think that this isn't intentional, like we all just fell off the watermelon truck yesterday. When multiple members of the Democratic Party use the same weird, vague term all at once, that's just by accident and with no purpose? Yeah, I don't think so. So then the question becomes why? Is it because the left turns a blind eye to violence that doesn't fit their political narrative? Do they just ignore any victims they can't use to push an agenda? Or is it more that they have a genuine targeted disdain for Christians and the Christian faith? Because their silence in the face of Christian persecution is far too deafening to be anything but intentional. And that's your Reality Check America. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page, like us on Facebook and Twitter, and stay sane out there.